And if you end up turning boredom into guilt, that's what happens, then dealing with guilt, I tell you what, is way more difficult than dealing with boredom. Dr. Kashey here to remind you that sometimes eating definitely sounds better than what you really should be doing. You know what sounds better than what you should be doing? Everything else, especially snacks. You know what sounds good when you're bored? Some snacks. Want to know what sounds good when you're tired but you don't feel like you want to go to bed yet? Snacks. You know what the best weapon is when you want to kill time dead? Snacks. Want to know what sounds good when you don't really know what you want but you know you want something? Snacks. So if you're in a position where you feel like eating but you know it's probably not going to be on plan because you've either consumed all the food you've made for the day or you're tempted to eat something that's probably going to put you over if you do, what do? This quandary is perplexing. Especially because the more often you do this, the more you're going to reinforce it. So you've got yourself an opportunity here. Let's call it an opportunity. What other activities can you do to reinforce what you can do when you're feeling bored or procrastinating? Aside from the stuff you should be doing, obviously. Because you might just got some FOMO. Some FOMO. Fear of missing out. It's real. Why do you think toddlers don't want to go to bed? It's all about that FOMO, man. And then feeling tired, feeling overtired can definitely drive you to snack on stuff because what happens when you snack? It definitely perks you up, stimulates you, if you will. And if you don't want to go to bed, but you're also tired and you eat, you'll become less tired. And then you will want to go to bed even less. It's really the perfect cycle. What isn't perfect is what happens, the results. I'm not going to say consequences because that sounds too negative and I don't want to sound too stiff. So I'll just say what isn't perfect are the results that happen, that you get, that you earn. But you know what? We can figure that out. We can handle it. Do you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day? Have you even given yourself a bedtime? Like a legitimate one and stuck to it? Probably not a terrible idea. Do you have a ritual you perform after your last meal so you can prepare your body to go to sleep? Because that's a real thing. Sometimes a walk in the shower and then brushing your teeth and then a little late night delight allows you to get into the cognitive position of disconnecting from the world and go to bed. Does anything actually that good happen when you stay up past your bedtime? Except when you're a relatively young teenager and you decide to wander out to the living room and turn on the naked station, but your parents don't actually pay for the naked station, so it's just staticky and like all sorts of shades of green and warped, and then every once in a while you see something cool. So yeah, being bored kind of sucks. Being overtired and stomping around like a toddler and not wanting to go to bed is kind of irritating. Procrastination isn't really that crappy up front, but it definitely bites you later. The real question is, what is crappier? What is more inconvenient? What is more uncomfortable? Feeling bored and a little bit snacky, or the results of overeating? Sometimes there isn't a reason to eat. That's okay. Do something else. Like the other things that you should be doing. No, that sucks. If you do get a feeling, it will pass. That's one thing that we all know about feelings. It's good. Understanding that feelings and the things in your environment give you those feelings. They compel you. They compel you to eat, and that's super important. What are those things? Is definitely boredom. What are those things? Is definitely procrastination. And what are those things? Is definitely, well, being tired, right? I've just kind of lumped all these things together because in my opinion, they're all kind of having to do with killing time. You build a cycle and reinforce the habit of eating in order to kill time. Thankfully, time is quite a vulnerable beast. It's vulnerable prey, and you can kill it with a variety of weapons. So when you're feeling snacky, I think it's good to sit back and put an identifier on what you're feeling, because if it's not actually hunger, sometimes it's just being aware of feelings, and that's good enough to come to the understanding that you can make a logical decision to not eat if it's not in the plan right now. If you do eat, the results will probably not be worth it, and your goals will be unnecessarily delayed, or necessarily delayed because of the decision you made. You know, same difference to me, I guess. Awareness goes a long way. Just recognizing what you want to eat, or just recognizing that you want to eat, and it's because really you just want to kill time, is probably good enough to deter you. If that isn't quite enough, well, what might be enough is remembering what happens if you continuously overeat because you're bored. And if you end up turning boredom into guilt, that's what happens, then dealing with guilt, I tell you what, is way more difficult than dealing with boredom. You can't really make feelings go away, but you can exchange them for other feelings, is something that I've kind of seen. Typically, you exchange down, not up in many instances. If you're particularly tired and you use food as a way to stimulate yourself, it's reasonable. That's reasonable to do. It makes sense. But actually, a little bit of exercise will perk you up too. You can take a quick walk, go around the block, do some jumping jacks, or flail around like a wacky, wavy, inflatable, wiggly arm dude at those creepy used car lots. That'll increase some of those substrate mobilization hormones to get your metabolism revving and increase your level of alertness. So what would you rather do? Not reach your goals because you're bored, or do a 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzle and look badass doing it because you're in your bikinis on the beach? You've got to admit, there's at least one good thing about emotionals. Emotional eating. Emotionals. Yeah. It's that you learned it from somewhere, and it's not ingrained. Because you learned it and it's not ingrained, you do not have to do it. And since you do not have to do it, that means you have other options by default. You are autonomous and in control of your own person. And it is in this situation you definitely have a choice. The choice is over two things. One, do you want to deal with the original issue using various low-calorie strategies? Or do you not want to deal with the issue and use food to distract you? And then create further issues that might hang around for months at a time because it's stuck around your waist. In all seriousness, if you're using food to distract yourself from an emotionally charged issue, happy or sad because people celebrate and eat too, you go from one problem to at least three. One is the original issue at hand and has never been solved. It's never actually been solved. It was never ever dealt with. 2, you'll probably swap whatever negative emotion you had for guilt and shame because of the decisions you made. 3, you'll be carrying around that guilt around your waist, which only reminds you of the previous behavior that caused you to overeat to begin with. So the more prepared you are with different tools and methods to distract yourself, the better. The next time you're in a situation or feeling supercharged or super down and deflated, then you'll be prepared to deal with it in a way that doesn't have a whole lot of calories. Just remember that all feelings, especially negative feelings, they do go away. You will equalize. So using a low-calorie method to kill that time is good. Using food to distract yourself will definitely cause some issues. That's the way she goes. To summarize here a bit. Boredom is the silent killer of your progress. Don't kill it. Identify times where you feel snacky and identify ways to utilize that time with not eating. It could be a great time to take up a hobby or do your homework or actually do something constructive that you're supposed to be doing to begin with. Feelings of hunger will go a lot faster than the weight you gain from dealing with just feeling, you're not even feeling hungry, you're just feeling snacky and bored, right? The snacky feeling will go away much faster than the weight you gain by taking care of that snacky feeling. That's what I'm trying to say. Man, I'm flailing stuff while I'm emotionally exhausted. I hope this is valuable because I am used.